Okay, good morning everyone and welcome to ViVoCAST Live. We're extremely proud to be part of this Leeds Digital event for the first time. Leeds is obviously the tech capital of the North as we stand, a city that's absolutely thriving and has been for a number of years now. We're really excited to be here and help continue and assist with that growth of the city. I think from a Leeds perspective, as I say, it continues to grow. There's plans to double the size of the city centre by 2030. It homes some of the some organisations such as NHS Digital, Channel 4, PokerStars, and a whole host of household names now that's really exciting for the city. There's plans to extend the airport and the train systems, and the obvious success recently of Leeds United back into the Premier League, which boosts the economy as well. So, as a result of this, more and more companies are looking at Leeds as a tech city, and for that reason are bringing their businesses here. So it's a really exciting time for Leeds as a community and as a city, and we're really excited to be part of that and also help companies along the journey. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce the team today that I'm joined by. So, firstly, myself. My name is Gareth Huxall. I've had 15 years experience in the MSP marketplace, and I'm now the CEO of Leeds-based MSP ViVoTECH. I'm joined with Iain Blyfield of Nutanix. Iain's had 20 years IT experience and is currently a season ticket holder at Leeds Rhinos for his sins. I've got Richard Foulkes here, 12 years IT experience, and is currently responsible for exclusive networks, infrastructure as a service platform, amongst other things. And last but not least, Asif Malik of Hardyfish Services, who has 25 years experience in the industry, 10 years of that cloud. Interestingly, Asif is an ex-VMware trainer and now has a hat of a Nutanix evangelist. So great to be joined by the guys who I think are going to bring a lot of value for you guys this morning. But thanks for joining us. So in terms of what to expect for this morning, today we'll be discussing what organisations are doing today. There's a lot of confusion in the marketplace, and of course it's an ever-changing landscape with lots of options and variances out there. We're going to help you sort of digest that, understand that, and look at what you can do next. We're then going to help you with the real benefits of what choosing the right infrastructure can do for you in your business, and how to spot the right infrastructure and how that can really fit and drive your business forward. And finally, really assist you and help you in understanding how you can take the first steps into looking at infrastructure and transforming your business. So first and foremost, just a bit about ViVoTECH. I'll keep this short and sweet, but we are a Leeds-based MSP. We were formed in October 19 last year with a view to really being disruptive in the marketplace. I think a lot of large MSPs, whether it's through process or whether it's through just the pure size of their organisation, can't always move as agile as technology allows us to now. We're trying to change the game in that respect, and as a small startup, we are aligning ourselves with the right partners. And I think you can see from the people we've got presented today, we are absolutely joined by those right partners that give us that size, but allow us to still operate in an agile manner that a small business can do. Without further ado, we're just going to jump into why we're here today. So I hope you all enjoy the reason you're here. We're going to keep this as interactive as possible on the way through, so we're going to be posting polls throughout, so please get involved and share your thoughts with us. We will open the floor up at the end for a Q&A session for those that have questions. And we're going to jump in with Asif, Malik to start with, but I'm going to kick off the poll now and just ask you around how COVID's affected your cloud strategy in your business. So by all means, please get involved. Yeah, Asif, a staggering, well, 80% there of people have accelerated.
I think that answers the question, doesn't it? That it has changed. Thanks for that, Gareth. So yeah, really just talk about what's happened post-COVID. we obviously know the landscape has changed, and when Gareth asked me, he says, what are customers asking us post-COVID? What does the landscape look like? What type of challenges do these organisations have? And I think most of them can fall into the certain categories I've listed in bullet points on the slide. The first one is that they know they need to get into the cloud somehow. They don't know which cloud it's going to be, so they don't know the differences between Azure, Google, Alibaba, or AWS. They know those type of clouds are available, but how do we get there? Do we want to get there? How much is it going to cost? Can we flex up or flex down our resources when we need them based on demand? Who in the industry is an expert in there? Who can we ask for advice? And I think these are some of the challenges that we're finding that companies are actually experiencing post-COVID. What I'd also like to do now is just hand over to Richard from Exclusive and just see what he sees are some of the challenges that he's seeing in the marketplace.
Thanks, Asif. So if we can ask the question first around what's the challenges are you guys seeing in your sort of area? So if you don't mind just starting the poll for me.
Sorry, Richard.
Sorry, my mistake. I didn't tend to put the poll on.
It's okay. While doing that, people are looking at the cloud. My background is security, and it's complicated. The thing we're showing at the moment is just some of the things we've seen with regards to challenges in the public cloud, whether it's a mixture of the costs or some of the complexity and monitoring we're seeing. Cloud is a good option for a lot of companies, but it does come with its own set of challenges. It's not the silver bullet to solve all those issues. And some of the challenges we've seen are things to how do we adopt, what do we need to accelerate, how do we actually use it, what is actually converging. We've used traditional data centers with traditional servers, traditional storage, traditional switches. We're used to those sort of complex design we have to build out ourselves. And we assume if we just move to the cloud, all our problems will be solved. It's not always the case. There's challenges with knowledge and skill sets, getting people skilled up on the different ways of working. And as Exclusive, we've been looking at this market. Everyone's got a mixture of different challenges. A lot of you seeing all of the above, which again is good. So skills is a big one, and costs. So for costs, one of the challenges we've seen within the cloud is the fact that there's a lot of unpredictable elements of it, whether it is charge on usage, charge on moving data, charged on access, charged to actually using it for security elements. We've seen a lot of challenges in the public cloud. And as Exclusive Networks been looking at the market, trying to see what sort of tools we can use for either a on-premise type of solution or a cloud type of solution. We'll start off first off talking about the on-premise bit. And for that, I'm going to hand across to Iain from Nutanix.
Thanks, Richard. Yes, so I just want to spend a couple of minutes talking about Nutanix, who we are, what we do, what we see in the market, and obviously our partnership with the ViVoTECH guys. So 10 years ago, our now CEO, Dheeraj Pandey, founded Nutanix. And at the time, Dheeraj was working with Google. He saw what was happening in terms of the way the world was going, in terms of the presence that cloud would have with us, and the way it would transform people's infrastructure. And he saw the way that the hyperscalers were working in terms of building out an infrastructure that was scalable, highly available, resilient, and that moved away from the traditional three-tier architectures that people had been deploying on premise. So what was the vision that Dheeraj set out for Nutanix? It was very much to simplify infrastructure and to bring almost a cloud commodity-like, consumer-like experience to enterprise IT. The benefit of doing this, it's easy to manage, it's automated, it can all be managed through a single pane of glass. And all of this meant the fact that the people who worked in IT could actually be doing what they should be doing, which is helping the business grow, helping the business transform, rather than actually being down in the basement with the spanner out, planning upgrades, stuck on break fix calls, etc., etc. So wind the clock forward 10 years, what do we see now? So as an organization, Nutanix have approached 20,000 customers worldwide. That ranges from small, medium businesses up to large global businesses. US government is a big user of our technology. And the main thing we hear back from all of our customers, regardless of their size, regardless of the number of VMs or the applications they're running on, is the simplicity of the platform. It works, we can rely on it, and it supports our business. So what does that mean in the context of the conversation this morning? We look at Leeds and the investment that's going into the Leeds area, the amount of organizations that will we need to do in their own transformation journey over the next number of years. And a lot of you on the call today will probably already be part of the way through that journey. Clients we work with locally in the corporate sector include people like Leeds Building Society, Conveyor Insurance and TSIS. And in the public sector, councils such as York and Barnsley are leveraging the Nutanix platform for their advantage. So in terms of, Nutanix, fundamental to what DRAJ set out 10 years ago and still absolutely as prevalent today is the concept of choice. So we are a software organization. We empower organizations to bring cloud-like capabilities to an on-premise infrastructure or to consume it as a service. What do we mean by choice? We offer a choice in hypervisor, whether that's our own hypervisor, AHV, Hyper-V, or VMware. We can let you run the platform on any hardware if you want to run and manage it in-house. So whether that's HPE, Cisco, Dell, Nutanix, Lenovo, again, entirely down to yourself. And ultimately, what we're seeing increasingly more is more organizations looking to leverage the cloud. So yes, we can run Nutanix on the big hyperscalers on AWS or Azure, but more importantly, the partnerships we have in place with organizations such as ViVoCAST and Exclusive in terms of local MSPs who can bring their skills and experiences to the platform and make it easier to give you more options as how you can consume it as a platform. Asif, over to you.
Thank you, Iain. So when we were building our cloud, go to the next slide. When we built our cloud, what we decided to do is that we wanted to achieve some goals. Some of the goals we wanted to achieve is to try and emulate what the large hyperscalers were doing. So what do the large hyperscalers like Azure and AWS, what do they do? Well, the first thing they do is they automate. To have everything automated by computer so a human is not being involved or a human could make a mistake is one of the key things. But also by leveraging automation, you're actually reducing risk for the customer and hopefully reducing price. So what we wanted to do is we then set out the goal and said, well, how can we compete with the world's best? How can we compete with a cloud platform like Azure or AWS? What is our differentiator? So on this slide here, we've put down here what we see as our key differentiators built into our cloud platform, which customers love. We've been delivering this solution for the last 3 years. So as an ex-VMware, it did actually pain me not to use VMware as a platform, but what the problem is, the way I see VMware from my experience is that VMware was a version 1 cloud. When I saw Nutanix hyperconverged, I saw the future. The hyperconverged brings a lots of things into software-defined elements and the intelligence and the automation, which really makes my life easy. I nowadays concentrate on selling the solution instead of actually managing the solution. I'd just like to throw out a poll here quickly before I continue. If you can just participate in the poll while I just continue with the points. So our cloud doesn't rely on VMware hypervisors or Hyper-V. So that means the cost saving is passed down in license fees, is passed down to the cost per VM. We don't charge extra for SSD flash storage for performance. Now, again, you can do your own homework. If you look at Azure and AWS, there is a premium to be paid when you actually use that technology. We give that to our customers as standard. The storage tiering in Nutanix allows us the flexibility to give that away at no extra cost. As you'd expect, everything has to be running at the next generation of network connectivity. So we use fiber 10 gig connectivity end-to-end throughout our platform onto our core switches and out onto the internet. Everything has to be fully redundant, so we have no single points of failure in any of our designs, starting from our ISP internet connectivity, right down to power with our diesel generators in the data center, going down to the core switches and the hosts and NICs themselves. So one of the differentiators that we found is that sometimes people forget to back up their virtual machines. They think because it's in Azure, it's secure. And when it comes to recovery or a failure occurs, they are suddenly found themselves in a situation where they have no backups. So we wanted to counter that, and we give away 7-day recovery points inclusive of all our service. So there's no charge for that, and it's instant virtual machine recovery. I always like to do a demonstration using Nutanix. When showing a new customer the platform, I give them an example saying, right, how long would it take to recover 100 gigabytes of data And they usually come back and say, oh, it'll take about an hour, 2 hours, depending on the speed. Then I start ramping things up and saying, well, how long would it take to recover a terabyte of data? And then it typically goes into, oh, it'd take about 6 hours, 7 hours. And then I said, right, what if you could recover instantly any capacity? And people get blown away when I actually recover a 10 terabyte virtual machine with a click. By the time I've navigated away from the restore screen, the virtual machine has recovered. And that is the power of Nutanix, and that's what we give all our customers in our core platform. The Nutanix itself is self-healing. It has resource scheduling, load balancing, and self-monitoring. So there's nothing really for me to manage on a day-to-day basis, because the intelligence or the things that I would do as a cloud admin are baked into the operating system. We give our customers the ability to self-service. So they have their own dedicated portal, which will look at their own instances. If they want to get into the console screen, build a new virtual machine, we have the ability to do that from their own interface. The next problem tends to be, well, hold on, as if we've got some virtual infrastructure already running in our premises in the office. So they might have a physical server, they might be running VMware, they might be running Hyper-V. So we have a strategy called Bring Your Own Virtual Machine. Or we can help with a migration. If there's lots of virtual machines to bring across, we can help in a little project where we can actually attach to the current infrastructure, synchronize, and flip over to our Nutanix platform. Again, with the infrastructure in place, people then struggle with the next layer, which is the networking component. How can I stitch this all together? How can I make it secure? How can I make sure that only the right people have access? So we help with the site-to-site VPNs, the firewall rules, help tighten up security. That's also baked into our product. Like Iain said, that Nutanix was designed from security in mind by Dheeraj when he actually built the platform. So our entire platform is totally secure with self-encrypting disks, everything segregated at the VLAN layer. North-south traffic is all separated out from the core switching, so nobody can really eavesdrop on anybody else's data. It's 100% secure. Have we got the results from that poll? Yeah. Is that me as well? So what we covered, what we found is that the things that the people had problems with are, first of all, most customers don't have Amazon or AWS or Google Cloud skills. So they don't have that technology. So what they've got to do is go away, learn the skills. And I would typically say it takes between a year to 2 years to learn the hyperscaler cloud in a reasonable manner. Yes, you can spin up a virtual machine quickly, but is it secure? Is it protected? Do you have redundancy? How do you roll back? All these things have to be covered with training. I'll give myself an example. When I was learning VMware, it took me 4 years to learn VMware as a core product to be able to go out proficiently to be able to train in it. Now, people don't have that luxury nowadays. So what we're saying is, let us be the consultants, the professionals around that. And for you to learn Nutanix, you can literally learn it within an hour of using the interface. It is one-click provisioning, simple and easy to understand. We also, to compete with the hyperscalers, we had to have a solution where people could have disaster recovery, business continuity in mind. So we've partnered with another data center in Manchester to give you the customers the flexibility to do site recovery. So we're currently based in Leeds, and we can have customers now doing DR to our Manchester location. Next one, cash flow. It's quite an important one because we always say the first thing we normally do is when we're speaking to customers, well, do you know how much a virtual machine will cost if you were to spin up this type of instance in Azure? And most of them turn around and say, well, no, because the calculators don't make it easy. How many people know how many hundreds of thousands of transactions are going to occur? How much data is going to be transferred, upload and download? People don't typically have that information to make that judgment call, so they have no idea on what the cash flow is. We had one company that we won from Azure. They started off paying around £2,000 as their monthly bill, and within 6 months that escalated to nearly £5,000 because when they started adding elements as backup, retention point, and geo redundancy, it all became a bit too expensive, and we ended up then taking them out of Azure, putting them on Nutanix, and they've now got a consistent monthly figure. So their accountant is happy, he's paying a fixed cost, and he knows the cost if he wants to upgrade or downgrade as part of the package. Scalability. Businesses change, we all know that. It's a changing world. Some people want to scale up, some want to scale down, some want to scale out across different sites. We have the flexibility to cover all bases, really. And real estate, because we're a data center, we allow people the flexibility to come in, bring their own physical servers, and they can host them in the data center as part of their hybrid approach. So some of the people that we're working with don't have the bandwidth in their offices, or they don't want to pay for expensive MPLS networks. So what we allow them to do is do the hybrid approach in our DC, connect directly from their physical environment into our Nutanix cloud, and it makes a quick and seamless transition when migrating data. Thank you. I'll hand over back to Gareth.
Thanks, Asif. So, really interesting stuff. I think if we just touch a little bit more on Asif, on taking the next steps.
Sure.
What can we do to help organisations understand how they can make the next steps, and what are those first steps for them?
Yeah, so what we offer most people is we allow them to have a pre-cloud assessment. We actually realise that every business is different, everybody's got different needs. Some people have connections in with legacy architecture, they might have on-premise physical servers doing specific workloads. So what we do is we go in and we consult, we can do it remotely as well now, because in a post-COVID environment we have to do a lot of things over the cloud. So with a remote connection, we can jump into their infrastructure, run a few tools, do a few scans, and then we can assess whether or not their infrastructure is suitable for the cloud. If it is, we can work on a plan to get that migrated over. If it isn't, we can make recommendations on how we can improve things. But these are all things that we provide. We also leverage a lot of the Nutanix tools that are given to us by the software vendor, which help in that in terms of migration. One particular one that springs to mind is where a customer was locked in with a Manchester-based cloud company, and that cloud company would not give him access to his virtual machine. So we installed some software onto that virtual machine, which replicated the entire virtual machine to our data center without the cloud provider knowing. So there's always a workaround, there's always a solution out there that we can work with, and it's just getting the right one that works for the customer.
Thanks, Asif. So guys, I'm going to open the floor in a minute for Q&As. There's a raise hand feature if you want to use that in a minute. But just to summarise really today, I think we're in a position now, we're in a time where there's lots of confusion in the marketplace. It's an ever-changing landscape, and I think it's based on the poll results today, we can see that people are unaware of lots of different components and elements to looking at cloud for your business. I think we've said that ViVoTECH can offer the agility of a small business in Leeds with the backing of the right partners in Nutanix, exclusive networks and high future services. I think the other very important point is that what this service does is offer the ability for SMEs in Leeds to look at infrastructure and cloud services that typically only some of the large corporates would look at implementing. It really does allow that to be broken down and looked at as a viable option. Furthermore, I think, as Asif mentioned, this is a very secure service. More importantly, from a DR perspective, we can spin things up in seconds. We've got a Leeds-based data centre, which is great for the city of Leeds, and obviously we've got a backup facility in Manchester for those that need that extra level of resilience and security, and keeping things safe. Cost is a massive part of everything we do. Obviously, everyone's looking at cost, particularly in a COVID world where most organisations have been affected financially in one way or another. So I think the fixed cost and getting that stable cost of your cloud infrastructure is key, which doesn't always happen with some of the other players when you get these unknown costs. So a very clear cost plan is key. Having data centers at our disposal, it's obviously an extended part of the service that we can offer a hybrid approach. in making a transition. So if you've made investments and you want to sweat the assets of hardware that you've got currently, then we can help you move that into a much more secure and safe facility than potentially your offices as you then make the transition into cloud. And then finally, you know, everyone's cloud is different, everyone's business is different, and you know, we're firm believers that technology should work for your business. You shouldn't work around technology, which is why we've said we'll do this free pre-cloud assessment for you. We're going to send out some, for those that joined today, we'll send out a dummy version of one of those assessments so you can see what's involved in one of those. And then we'd like to talk to you further if you'd like to do that. I'm going to open up the floor now for any questions that we may have. So if anybody wants to raise their hand for a question, we'd be happy to take questions to the team.
I can also give you a few more ideas of some solutions that we've put together for customers, just to give you some ideas of some of the things that we've done in the past. There's a local Leeds-based company called Rodar as an example, and they had a specific problem where their file server was reaching 10 terabytes, and instead of increasing the hardware, they wanted to take that data and transform it into a cloud version. Now, they had no idea how that would work in Azure or how they would get 10 terabytes of data in Azure. So they came to us with a USB disk and a virtual machine and said, can you make this cloud enabled? It took 48 hours to upload that into a Nutanix format. And by Friday, they closed down their operation in Leeds. And by Monday morning, once the cloud had converted everything over, they were back up and running. And they've been with us now for 3 years, and there's no reason for them to move because they're happy with the performance that they're getting, and they're happy with the solution. And that's just one of many designs that we've put into place.
Okay, so I think we've got a question from Adam. Bear with me 1 second.
Hi, can you hear me?
Adam, yeah, good to speak to you.
So if I have multiple clouds currently, could I manage this centrally using this solution during this transition period, or would I not be able to do so?
We do have a multi-cloud offering that's getting extended into our portal. At the moment, it's disabled because what we're trying to do is just build out all the other elements like the DR component and the backup as a service component before we actually launch the multi-cloud offering. But it is on our pipeline to launch that. So just to be clear, is this where you're actually connecting AWS and Azure to the Nutanix portal?
Sorry, yeah. So that's where it had intended to be. We're actually unsure where we're planning on moving forward with it. It was just mainly around the transition period and how it'd move forward.
Yeah, just imagine having the power of Nutanix, but not the cost. So we allow you to consume Nutanix services, yeah, but without the overhead and the cost of having all that infrastructure to manage yourself.
Perfect. Thank you, Asif.
We've got another. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I hope that's been really useful. We will send out, as I say, some dummy information on the reports, the pre-assessment reports that we can do for you. It'd be great to speak to you all and talk to you further about your own business, your own cloud, and give you some more advice on that. But thank you, everyone, for your time. I look forward to speaking to you all soon.